Picture this for a moment. It's 3 in the morning, you're lying awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, and your mind is racing through every possible financial disaster that could happen tomorrow. Your brain refuses to rest. Instead, it starts playing a long list of worst-case scenarios, one after another, like a late-night horror movie about money. Maybe tomorrow your car suddenly breaks down and you're stuck with a repair bill you have no idea how to pay. Maybe your laptop dies right when you need it for work or something important. Or maybe something worse happens. You lose your job, and suddenly, the paycheck you rely on disappears. I'm learning suddenly your mind is spinning through every financial emergency that could possibly show up. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. Millions of people experience these exact same midnight money worries. Because when your savings account is empty, every small financial risk suddenly feels enormous. But what if I told you there's a specific number that can eliminate most of these late-night anxiety sessions? Most people think financial milestones are random numbers invented by rich people. Many believe you need $1 million before life starts feeling financially comfortable. Others think the magic number is $100,000. But the truth is much simpler than that. The first real financial turning point actually happens much earlier. And that milestone is $10,000. Without savings, every purchase becomes a small financial calculation. You stand in the grocery store debating whether you can afford the name brand cereal or if you should buy the cheaper generic one. When friends invite you out to dinner, you start mentally calculating whether $25 will destroy your weekly budget. Sometimes you even invent excuses just to avoid admitting that you can't afford to go. This is the daily reality for people living paycheck to paycheck. Every single financial decision becomes a careful calculation, and every unexpected expense feels like a potential catastrophe. When you have no savings, your financial life feels like constant defense. But everything begins to change when you finally accumulate your first $10,000. And not because you suddenly start buying luxury items. Most people who reach this milestone don't change their lifestyle at all. The real change happens in your mind. You carry yourself with more confidence because deep down, you know you're.
You might finally feel confident enough to ask for a promotion you've been thinking about for months. Because when you have $10,000 saved, you're no longer just surviving. You're finally starting to breathe financially. The moment you see 5 digits in your savings account for the first time, something inside your brain changes. It's not just a number anymore. It's proof that you finally have a financial cushion. Suddenly, you walk a little differently. You carry yourself with more confidence because deep down you know you're no longer one small problem away from financial disaster. That small financial safety net gives you permission to start thinking about opportunities instead of constantly worrying about survival. Maybe you finally consider taking that course or certification that could increase your income. Because when you're not panicking about money, your brain suddenly has space to think about your future. And this isn't just motivation or mindset talk. There's actual science behind this change. Neuroscientists have found that financial security actually reduces cortisol, the stress hormone in your body. When you're not constantly worried about money, your body literally relaxes.
Think about the last time your car's check engine light suddenly turned on. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, that tiny light feels like the start of a financial nightmare. Your mind immediately jumps to questions like, how much will this cost? How will I pay for it? But if you have $10,000 saved, the situation feels completely different. The same problem becomes annoying, but not terrifying. And that shift from panic to mild inconvenience has huge ripple effects on your life. When you're not constantly worried about money, you think more clearly and make better decisions. You become more productive at work because your brain isn't distracted by financial stress. You become more patient with the people around you. Your relationships improve because money anxiety isn't constantly draining your energy. Here's the interesting part though. The biggest benefit of saving $10,000 isn't actually spending the money. The benefit comes from simply knowing the money is there. This concept is known as the emergency fund effect. An emergency fund protects you from financial shocks, but more importantly, it protects your peace of mind. Most people with savings don't spend the money on emergencies. Instead, they start using it to create opportunities. They invest in education, new skills, or even small business ideas. And something else begins to happen. You start negotiating better because you're not desperate anymore. You become more willing to walk away from bad deals because financial confidence changes how the world responds to you. Something interesting happens when you build your first serious savings account. You begin to feel a quiet confidence that changes how you approach decisions at work and in life. Instead of thinking only about paying bills this month, your mind starts thinking about how to improve your future income. You might notice opportunities that you previously ignored, like training programs or certifications that could increase your salary. With a financial safety net behind you, conversations about your career start to feel less intimidating. Maybe you finally gather the courage to talk to your manager about a raise or a promotion. Because when you have savings, you negotiate differently. You're no longer negotiating from fear. Confidence often attracts opportunities that stressed and desperate people simply miss. Over time, this confidence can lead to better assignments, stronger professional relationships, and higher income. Because when your brain is not consumed by survival stress, you begin noticing possibilities everywhere. Maybe you attend a networking event you previously would have skipped because it cost $50. That one event could introduce you to someone who changes your career trajectory completely. Opportunities rarely appear when you're stressed, exhausted, and worried about money. But when your financial situation stabilizes, your mind becomes creative again. You might start thinking about side businesses or additional income streams. Small ideas that once felt impossible suddenly begin to feel achievable. You might even begin learning about investing for the first time. Because for the first time, you have money that could potentially grow. And the best part? It's where something powerful begins to happen. You start realizing that money can create more money. This idea alone completely changes how you view your income and your expenses. Instead of thinking about what you can spend, you begin thinking about what you can build. You begin planning for the future instead of reacting to the present. Goals like saving, investing, and building long-term security suddenly feel realistic. And the more you save, the more confident you become. This confidence creates a positive feedback loop. Better decisions lead to better opportunities. Better opportunities lead to higher income and stronger financial stability. And over time, that stability turns into real financial freedom. Not overnight, not instantly, but through consistent progress. And it all begins with one simple milestone: saving your first $10,000. Let's talk about something psychologists call decision fatigue. It sounds like a complicated term, but it simply describes the mental exhaustion that comes from making too many small decisions every day. When you don't have savings, every tiny purchase becomes a decision that requires careful calculation. Should you buy the cheaper pasta or the better one? Can you afford it today, or should you wait? Even something simple like buying lunch can turn into a mental debate about whether it fits into your budget. And the best part? And these tiny financial calculations slowly drain your mental energy throughout the day. But when you have $10,000 saved, something interesting happens. Suddenly, most of those daily financial decisions stop feeling stressful. You're no longer choosing based on fear, you're choosing based on preference. And that simple shift frees up an enormous amount of mental energy. Some people even describe their first grocery trip after building savings as surprisingly emotional. Not because they suddenly start buying luxury food, but because they realize they finally have freedom of choice. That freedom is something many people never realize they are missing until they experience it. Now, let's be honest about something important. Having $10,000 saved does not make you rich. You're not going to quit your job tomorrow and spend your life on the beach. You'll still think twice before buying expensive things you don't really need. But what it does give you is something incredibly powerful. It gives you breathing room. And breathing room is the foundation of every smart financial decision. When you're not panicking about money, you can finally take time to optimize your finances. Maybe you switch to a cheaper phone plan or negotiate better insurance rates. These small improvements might only save $50 or $100 per month. But over time, those small optimizations compound into meaningful savings. And the best part? And those savings move you closer to your next financial milestone. Once you reach your first $10,000, your next financial goal starts to feel achievable. And then the next one after that becomes possible too. Before you know it, you are building real financial momentum. Not because you suddenly became wealthy overnight, but because you became the type of person who saves money consistently. Your first $10,000 isn't just money in a bank account, it's the beginning of a completely different financial life, built on confidence, discipline, and the knowledge that your future is finally in your control. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, gang, and let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.